Well, it's not always the car itself, but it is the history, and boy, does this car have a history. This is a 1961 Rolls-Royce Phantom 5, and in 1961, the city of Houston bought it to chauffeur Queen Elizabeth around town. A few years later, this car made its way into the hands of comedian Red Skelton. So he's a pretty funny guy, pretty serious car. And it's one of 4 Rolls-Royces on display here at Keels and Wheels.
This car was made in Springfield, Massachusetts. A lot of people don't know that Rolls-Royce made cars in the United States. The car was made in 1926, and if you look up the serial number, it says 1926. But the car didn't sell until 1927. But it was sold originally to a movie director in California. Movie director was Joseph von Sternberg. Joseph von Sternberg worked for Paramount Studios in the 1920s. So Paramount sent Joseph von Sternberg to Germany. At the end of his contract over there, he brought Marlene Dietrich back to Hollywood. And I'm sure she sat in the passenger seat of this car as he sat there driving it. I was going to a party one night and I drove this car, and I heard this voice from the next car, and I looked over there, 2 women in the next car, and the one closest to me said, "What's her name?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I haven't named her yet." I said, "I just got her." She said, "How about Red?" And I said, "Well, how about Scarlet?" So she and I, somebody I never met, have decided her name is Scarlet.
Bentley is one of the featured marques at this year's Concours. They made their first car 100 years ago. In the 1930s, they produced one vehicle that was described as the silent sports car. And here today is an example that was a rescue and restoration project.
The coachwork became decayed over a number of years, probably from sitting out. But the fundamental, the chassis and the engine, the gearbox, the brakes, everything was remaining just the same as it was originally. And I'm a big believer in if I have an antique car, I use it. There's no point in having a museum piece. It may be looking good, but does it work? Yes, mine work and I use them. The controls on this Bentley were deliberately placed on the right-hand side. Growing up in England, if you were left-handed, that was something that was considered something wrong with you.
What kind of looks do you get when you're driving this down the road?
Generally is, what kind of car is that? And I lean out the window and say, well, it's a Bentley. It's a proper motor car. And they smile and off they go.
As we head to break, check out this 1910 Bianchi Limousine. This was the epitome of opulence over a century ago. It was rescued from a Swiss junkyard back in 1952, and it's been lovingly preserved and restored ever since. We'll be back in a moment.